everyone, welcome to episode 35 of the podcast. I remain your host, Omabi. For today's episode, we're considering the national treatment provisions under the Trade and Services Protocol. Here we are looking at how state parties to treat services and services providers of other state parties compared to services and services providers in its own territory. That's what we're going to be looking at today. We will dive right into it. If you recall, in previous episode, I mentioned that there are 5 priority sectors currently being negotiated under trade and services. We have the tourism, financial services, communication services, transportation, and business services. Once a state party has agreed to specific commitments in respect of these sectors, then we must ensure that the state party has to ensure that services and services suppliers of other state parties are treated no less favorable than like services and services supplier in its own territory. That's of course subject to any conditions and qualifications that has been agreed upon. So ensure, let's use the example of the priority sector. So whatever commitments you have undertaken in respect of transportation, communications or tourism, whatever treatment you are offering to services and services supplier of other state parties that want to come into your territory, ensure that they are treated no less favorable than the ones that are according to your own national services and services suppliers in your own territory. So that's the first provision. The next provision states that state parties may meet the requirements of the first provision I noted if it accords to services and services suppliers of other state parties either formally identical treatment or formally different treatment to the one it accords to its own like services and services suppliers. So this instance, that means the state party is saying, this is where I'm going to treat it. It is formal. We can see it, or maybe it is written. It has formally stated that this is the treatment I'm going to give to services and services supplier, or that it might be identical to its own services and so, or it may be different. But how do you then test if it meets the requirements in the first provision I stated? That's what this next provision helps us to identify how this is going to be weighed, or how do you identify that the formally identical or formally different treatment is favorable to services and services supplier for the state parties. Third provision states that formally identical or formally different treatment shall be considered less favorable if a state party modifies the conditions of competition in favor of its own services and services supplier compared to like services and services supplier of any state party. So that's how that's been tested. You're going to look at have you modified the terms of competition in such a way that the services and services supplier of other state parties cannot even trade under provide services because of the competition provisions they have provided. It is less favorable. It's not allowing they are not able to compete, or they are not able to provide services because of the competition conditions. So that's it for national treatment, and we will move into additional commitment provisions. Additional commitment basically allows state parties to negotiate commitments concerning measures that affect trade and services that were not subject to scheduling under market access provision that I discussed market access provisions in the previous episode, or national treatment provisions. This is of course including but not limited to qualification standards or licensing. That means that the state parties can negotiate commitments that are concerning measures that were not previously agreed to, or they did not undertake commitment to concerning market access or national treatment. However, so whatever commitment that is then agreed upon has to be inscribed or stated in a party's schedule of specific commitments. So this is where we ended for today's podcast. As usual, the podcast is for educational purposes only, just to provide information. It is not to be regarded as an expert advice. If you, however, you would like to discuss more in respect of preparations for trading under the AFCFTA, or you'd like to discuss how to access markets of other state parties or member countries of the AFCFTA, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Omobola Adekola, or you can also send me a message through the podcast. Until next week, Thursday, I say goodbye or bye-bye.